I put my dad in the street against a heavyweight.
I've gone back to the dad. I've punched him a few more times.
5 blokes outside my front door. Can you come and help
One
me?
hell of a fucking story, so stay tuned.
Andrew McCART, IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. I've got to say I'm delighted to be joined by the hitman himself, Ricky Hatton. Ricky, I know you're pressed for time here, so let's just jump straight into it. You've seen the weigh-in, both of them weighed in huge, they're big, huge units. What did you see from the weigh-in?
I think they weighed in heavier than they normally done, but I don't think. I think that the weight, the extra pounds, has been used to the advantage. They both look solid. Best shape I think I've seen them both in, to be honest with you. So obviously, because they know what's at stake and on the line, they've obviously they've just probably tightened the training up a little bit more. You know what you do when you know you've got a big test. You know, if you're fighting Joe Joyce or you're fighting Mr. Bean, which one do you try that little bit harder for? You try it out for Joe Joyce, don't you? So I think that's what they know what's on stake, and even though at stake, but they've even put a little bit of weight on, but they look better for it.
Can you pick a winner between the two of them? I mean, look, bookies have Joyce a slight favourite, but really it's a 50-50 fight. I mean, you've got the juggernaut and Joyce, who's going to just steam forward. You've got Joe Parker, the lighter, smaller man, who might stay on his back foot a little bit, maybe stay off the ropes and box, and you know the score, Ricky. But so, can you pick a winner in this one?
I think it's a 50-50 fight, and I see why people are edging towards Joyce, but I think Joyce is... punches very open, very wide, doesn't he? You know what I mean? So I think with his good boxing ability and speed, I don't think Joe Parker will struggle finding the target. I think he'll bank a lot of the early rounds, but then Joe Joyce will come on down the home straight, won't he, and start banking the latter rounds. I think it's going to be a certain case whether Joe Parker can just get his nose over the finishing line and see that final bell with his rounds wise, with his nose in front. Or Joe Joyce could get him. Down the home straight. If you want my prediction, I think Joe Parker and Andy Lee would have prepared for 12 hard rounds. They know they're going to have to dig in down that home straight, so I think they would have prepared for that. And I think Joe Parker might win by the smallest of margins, just get his nose over that finishing line, and we would have banked enough of the early rounds in order to seal a points win.
You can't see a stoppage between either man because they're durable as hell.
No, absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, if anything, I don't think Joe will stop Joe Joyce. I think he's got a good chin, and but I think if Joe Parker gasses in them championship rounds, Joyce could get him, yeah. But I think he might just see it out.
I know you're pressed for time, so I've got two more questions. Joshua versus Fury. I know you're good friends with Tyson Fury. As a boxing man, you've been in the game long enough. You know you need them T's crossed and them I's dotted. Can you see that fight happening this year?
I hope so. I mean, it's been 3 years in the making, then all of a sudden they made it last week in a week, didn't they? And, it doesn't happen that way, and it's all about agreeing terms. I can have a conversation with you. Oh yeah, all right, and then they stick the contract in front of you, and and unless you get that signature on it, is the hardest part of any deal. So they may have agreed terms in theory, but agreeing the contracts is another story. So I hope it takes place. I think it might do, because I think British boxing, whether it be the Fury camp or the Joshua camp or their promoters or everyone, I think they know this fight has to happen for the sake of British boxing. No, it has to happen. If it doesn't, it'd be a tragedy for our game, I think.
Can you pick a winner on that one? I know again it's a tough one.
I think Tyson. I think he's got all the attributes that Usyk has got. The only thing is he's heavier and bigger. So I mean, and if Usyk was able to outbox AJ, I think you've got to lean towards Tyson. You can't write AJ off. Usyk nearly got him. Tyson's been down before in the past, as we've seen. So I mean, you can't say it's a foregone conclusion, but you've got to. I think most people would say we'd have to edge before AJ because he got outboxed by Usyk, and he's a bigger Usyk. So yeah.
One final one then. Yeah, you're fighting Marco Antonio Barrera. I mean, two legends, two of my favourite fighters going at it. I'm going to come to the arena and be a fan for this one. I've not been a fan at a boxing show for a long time, but as an exhibition fight goes, the way you approach the game, Ricky, and your style of fighting, and the way Barrera approaches the game and his style of fighting, is it going to be an exhibition?
Yeah, of course it'll be an exhibition. I won't take liberties, he won't take liberties. It's got to be made exciting and realistic. Otherwise, there's no point in doing it. I mean, the right precautions are in place: bigger gloves, less rounds, shorter rounds. But you know, me and Marco are fighters. You know, we would rather die, me and Marco, than have anyone going, sat in the stand yawning or going home saying what a load of crap that was. You know what I mean? Never. So and it's knowing, if that's too much and that's not enough, that's where we go. Maybe wondering ever a little bit, so slightly over, but not where any liberties are taken, because he's my mate, one of my heroes. November 12th, Manchester Arena, we go again.
There you go again. I'll be there, Ricky. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks, Ricky.
Yeah, I put my dad in the street against a heavyweight.
I've gone back to the dad. I've punched him a few more times.
5 blokes outside my front door. You coming out?
One hell of a fucking story, so stay tuned.